quiet down, everyone. We're about to start. Almost there. Just gotta wait till someone else might come.
10 seconds.
Do you have an assignment clock there?
Yes. Thank you for that moment of silence. Untitled Word, welcome to the select board meeting for tonight. Bonnie Tucker and Bill Kennedy are the rest of the select board. Nicole McStay is our town administrator. Justine Hanson's over there capturing all this for posterity. We are live on air, and this will be saved in archives as well. Tonight's budget meeting will be run by Rick Lesser, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to him.
Thank you, Tyler. Members of the Budget Committee tonight, I see Dave Odlin in the second row over there, Dan Gross, Tony Pascal, Dick Reynolds, Mary Clark, Al Lennis to my right, and Paul Nosey to my left. Don't see Don Parkhurst yet, but we have a quorum, so we can get started. And I think we're going to start with library tonight.
Yes.
So, I guess Corinne,
Okay.
let's do it.
I'm Corinne Chronopoulos. I'm the library director. I've been here since 2014, and I'm still nervous. So, yeah. I could say a lot, but I kept this very brief, so I'll wait for your questions. But I did want to give a shout out to our elected board of trustees. They dedicate a lot of time to overseeing the library, assisting me, and Chris Mann's here. I don't think any others are here yet. A lot of excused absences, and Tina Kriebel's on her way. And then some of our friends at the library are here too, including our president, so it's exciting. I wanted to let you know that Lisa Burse, our head of youth services, has retired this past year. She did a really wonderful job over 20 years establishing teen programming. This is our Pizza and Pages middle school book club. So Lisa also mentored Amy LaRue, who was her assistant, and she has been promoted to her position. We heard back from the community that they really like multi-generational events. So this year we focused on big, really fun events like that. So that's our big birthday party to the left. It was a night circus black and white theme, and people really showed up. It was really cute. And then one of our art programs that we did. So just a little bragging before I get into the numbers. Our adult services librarian, or our program librarian rather, Rebecca Edmond, she has doubled our attendance to adult programs this past year. So that's really incredible. We have 3,500 people attending 228 programs. I also wanted to let you know we're starting a Library of Things. Has anyone ever heard of that? The idea is that there may be items that you don't want to buy or don't want to store. So as a community, we can share them. We've had generous grant donation from the Chris Mann Fund, and so that's funding a lot of these initial purchases. Bella Tate's also donated a huge toolkit, hammer and all the traditional tools, so that's exciting. And we're reaching out to other partners to get more donations so that it will be all a grant-funded program.
That would be donations in any one of these categories?
Right. There's different categories, tools, there's games, anything that would be a good item to share.
Yeah, okay.
Tina, come on in.
Our chair. No. Sorry. I put this slide up every year. It's just to remind taxpayers that if they want a return on their investment for the library, it's really easy to get it. If you're bringing your grandchild or children to the Museum of Science, grab a pass. You get in for $10 each. It's a huge discount. If you are commuting to work and you listen to Audible, cancel that subscription. We have 2 different apps that download audiobooks, and you're already paying for it, so use that instead. On to the numbers. Okay, so there's not too much to say because we're coming in completely flat. Our expenditures have increased in a few, mostly with salaries, payroll, payroll taxes rather, retirement, a couple other areas, but I basically combed through and wherever I increased to make the line item make more sense, I found somewhere else to cut. So we're coming in flat. We increased revenues a little bit to cover that increase. So if you have specific questions, I can talk to each line item. And then just a quick report on revenues. We take operating revenue from meeting room rentals, non-resident library cards, printing, a couple other areas, and those revenues are steady, so we're still conservatively budgeting for that. Trust funds have increased, the income from trust funds has increased, and we also have 2 nonprofits. One is our Friends of the Library. They give a lot of money for programming every year, which is why our program budget has stayed flat for 10 years or more. And then the 1833 Society is a nonprofit, and they are fundraising for our endowment.
How many employees do you have?
I have an equivalent of 7 full-time, but it's 5 full-time and several part-time. I think I'm at 12, maybe 13 including me. But some are very part-time, like 4 hours a week.
Corinne, could you talk about that increase, the library revenue transfer to the town? A nice healthy increase, we appreciate that, but from 60,000 up to 72,000 this year in this budget?
Right, so the town trustees have let us know that we can plan for an increase in income, so we're boosted there. And then, as I said, every year we budget our revenue. We came in a little high last year, so that money that the board is taking over for this year.
Does that revenue include rental income?
Yes. Yeah, rental income is at, we're budgeting for 15,000 this year. Last year we took in 18, but we did have a church renting, and they have discontinued, so it'll be a little lower.
And just a point of information, when people want to rent the rooms, are there any people that get free rental, like nonprofits or political? Could you talk about a little bit about that, how that works?
Yep, so we have 5 rooms. 2 of them are study rooms. They're free to everybody. We have 2 conference rooms. Those are free to 501c3 nonprofits based in the Peterborough area. They can have it free twice a month. After that, they can kick in a little. The big room is upstairs, that 1833 room, that we rent to everybody, regardless of nonprofit, whatever. We do have a form that people can request a discount, if they, and so we can work with them, but everyone's charged.
Mary?
Corinne, can you talk about the revenue from the non-town library card holders, the cost of that, and how that has been over the last couple of years in terms of numbers?
Sure. So our non-resident cards are $85. It's an annual membership. I think we have under 100. And every May after town meeting, when the budget is set, the board will kind of review and decide if they're going to raise it. They haven't raised it the past couple years, but maybe this year they will.
Has the sales per year held steady?
It has. Last year, non-resident card revenue was $5,875. It's been about around there every year.
Any other questions?
I have a question. This is really well done. This is the second or third time I've seen it, so I've gone through it well. But there is one line item that I just want a little clarification on, and that is heating fuel. It's really choppy. In 2022-23, it was only $5,000, and then in 23-24, the expenditure was actually around $13,000. And then it dropped back down to $4,000 or $4,600. But you approved appropriations of over $11,000, and now you're asking for $12,000. Is it, what's?
Well, there's 2 heating fuel line items. I think it might be talking about both, but, so there used to be heating fuel line item per Kai Sage House. So of course, we discontinued that. I don't see where you see 5,000.
Library buildings and grounds on page, well, actually, it's on page 17.
Oh, I don't have that. for me.
Here, it's right here. I'm the one that established all commodities budgets. This didn't come from Corinne. And the fluctuation in spending is because she uses the pellet chips
Right.
year-round. It's not just for heating, it is also for her air conditioning. So it is the timing of when she gets those deliveries as to which budget year those are hitting.
Oh,
I've also got another note. In FY '25, there was also a significant offset by the one-time thermal rec back
Right.
payments.
Thank
So
you.
that's part of the other reason that it was substantially lower.
Thank
Because
you.
how many years of thermal recs had accumulated?
It was like 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
because there was an issue with the sensor. So they fixed the sensor and then they calculated what we missed
Yeah.
and gave us back payment.
Yeah. So a significant credit there.
Some hair was pulled.
thanks. Very-
Thank you.
Before we say thank you, Corinne, just one shout out. I'm a big believer in your interlibrary loan, and I think Nancy does a wonderful job, so
Thank you.
I take advantage of her work all the time, so just want to make that public. Thank you so much, and thank you, members of your various committees. Great to see you tonight.
Thank you.
So maybe now we should move over to Danica.
Yes, please. Dan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Danica Miller. I normally don't do a presentation or a handout, but this year I put one together that was in the packet for January 27th. I have some copies if anyone would like a copy, but I'm going to assume you have it. The purpose of putting that together was a recommendation from Al, my budget liaison, to sort of go over what it is that our department does, who is in the department, and highlight some of the projects and initiatives that we are doing. So the core staff of the department consists of 3 full-time people. 2 of us are salaried, 1 is part-time with overtime eligibility. We do have an intern that is still currently with us. He is unpaid and a Conval senior at the moment. Tim Hurley, he is our building inspector. He's also in the department, but he is staffed through Department of Public Works and his salary is budgeted through that. We also have Alicia DeBruin, who is our Community Energy Fellow through the Oak Ridge Institute for Science and Education. We call it ORISE for short. She is free to us and she is both serving Peterborough and Harrisville. You might see her in our office a couple days a week, but she is primarily working on carrying out a $700,000 grant from DOE. That is that Heat Smart Plus incentive program, and it's the back page actually of that packet that I passed out. Alicia had put together a really great recap of 2025 and the numbers for us. So on any given day, you can find any of us down there in that office.
How long is Alicia going to be doing that?
We only have her till the end of this month, actually.
Oh, wow.
So it was an 18-month block, and she was on until March 1st, and her last day, I think, with us is February 26th. Yep. We also highlighted all of the various boards and committees that we work with. The vast majority have some level of staff support, whether that be us taking minutes and sending out the meeting packets, preparing materials for them. We do have a handful that do not have staff support, meaning they take their own minutes, they send out their own meeting agendas, they manage that on their own time. The chairs of those committees are therefore responsible for sending along their minutes once they're finished, and we get them posted.
And the Conservation Commission declined your help? Is that why that says no?
They did, yep. When we, with the change in our hours being that we are here till 5:30 now, in considering some other changes to other timing of meetings for boards and committees, we had some ability to alleviate timing for our planning and building coordinator who does minutes. So we offered to have someone take minutes for their board, but they declined. So moving on to the programming that we have, we do quite a bit. There is quite a lot in terms of what silo of our work that it exists in. I won't go through all of these, but we did want to highlight that a good handful of them were new as of this year, or I'm sorry, 2025. The purpose of the initiatives that we put on is really to drive business into the downtown or our surrounding businesses. We want to bring greater visibility and be able to minimize the amount of money that we as staff have to spend and minimize our workload, but just capitalize on what already exists. We did 3 events this past year, and all of which were very successful, and we do plan on continuing it into the coming year.
Can I ask a question about that? Yes, that actually was my question. I thought that was what was showing up in the event sign.
Okay.
So, I guess the question I have is, and I know the EDA doesn't meet that often, but I just was wondering if you could share the extent to which there's coordination with the kind of the downtown businesses and whatnot about prioritization for what collectively people feel will have the most impact as it relates to events that happen in the town.
Are you talking about specifically under that budget line, or how we've organized the events?
Yeah, not the budget line, because it turns out the budget line was very different than what I thought it was.
Yes. Yes, and I can talk about both, but I just want to make sure I answer the right one.
Yeah, no, not the one that I got answers for.
Okay, so in terms of all of the events that are under the programming, well, aside from what we have that are Affordable Housing Committee events, energy related, the ones that we have added in and are existing are either EDA led or led by us. And the ones that are new that we have created were created with the goal of looking at what we had gathered as feedback from our economic development chapter in terms of what are kind of the silos of work that we need to capitalize on in the community. So if we look at the Peterborough Pet Gala, that was something we hosted in August of 2025. That was a response to feedback that folks in our community really deeply love, that we have a pet-friendly community. We know we have a dog park committee. There was an interest in supporting those families that really want to be able to have a good day in the park with their pets. There was also the ability to capitalize on that by partnering with businesses who are also pet-friendly. So one of the things that we're able to do is highlight on a map and a brochure all of the businesses that had either a pet-friendly outdoor seating area or would just be putting out a bowl of water for pets as they walked by. Throughout the day, it was really exciting to see how many people would just sit outside. We had someone with 2 pigs that sat outside of Sweet for a couple hours with their coffee and coffee cakes. But we also had people who were going back and forth to Roy's to get sandwiches and subs so that they could picnic in the park and watch the parade. The fun part about that is that we also learned it attracted quite a few people from outside of the community, which was very exciting to us. We had people from Bennington, Antrim, Hancock, and I think someone from Keene who was in the audience who said that they just happened to see in the paper, were interested. Didn't have a pet in the parade, but they were there to watch.
Is there any status on the dog park?
I have no idea. It has something to do with me, actually. I think that they are still working toward it, but yeah.
And where do those events show up in the budget?
So the budget for EDA, the events budget, as you had pointed out, that line under EDA events, $2,500 is allocated for the affordable housing team and $500 for the welcome team. However, there is also a small amount for supplies under the EDA line item. $500 of that has been allocated for the EDA events. So while we don't actively have them volunteering, it is supported through them. The same goes for the $1,000 that we have allocated under advertising. So with that amount of money, we've been able to stretch quite a little, a very long ways. And a couple of the things that we've bought are one-time purchases. So for instance, we bought the scissors and ribbon, for instance. We won't need to buy a new set of big scissors for our ribbon cuttings going forward. But they are very helpful in terms of being able to print out those materials. We usually package them up into a picture frame, bring it back to the business to say this is a picture of a ribbon cutting as a memento. It's also very helpful in the form of advertising. Advertising is extremely expensive for us. With the increasing costs, we do always do a press release and utilize social media. We are not always successful most of the time with press releases, though. They'd rather us pay.
So they're all, the costs are all sitting in the EDA?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just not necessarily under the event line?
Correct.
Okay.
And just to clarify on that further, for the event line, $2,500 under that event line is the Affordable Housing Committee. So they had crafted that based off of 2 years ago wanting to do a video recording of a Conval student play of the What is Workforce Housing affordable comic strip. That came in at an estimated cost of about $1,300. And then I want to say another $1,200 was to bring in Jay Childs of a book named Communities and Consequences, which talks about housing, affordable housing really in towns and communities at a local level in New Hampshire. And so that did not happen, but those were kind of the impetus for that budget request. The $500 annually goes to the welcome team so that they can rent spaces, say at Post and Beam or at the library for their meet and greets. Thank you.
So if I could just follow up on that, though, all the information on programming that you listed here, the 67 programs, those are all very minimal expenses? Is that what you're saying, basically?
They're very minimal expenses. Energy Week, that is paid out of our DOE grant. The Monadnock Job and Career Fair is comes out of EDA. Envision Town also came out of EDA. However, that would have been the affordable housing's allocation of the funding. Franklin Pierce is EDA. Peterborough Gala is EDA. The ADU bus tour is EDA, but again, the affordable housing portion. Creepy Carl is EDA. Holiday Night Market and Stroll is EDA, and that was really wonderful because we partnered with Max to bore a lot of the expenses. Our participation in that was really just being present to direct traffic downstairs. And then the grand open ribbon cuttings are also coming out of EDA, but with the EDA funds, not the housing committee.
And do you anticipate running all these programs again this
We do.
year?
Yep,
Great.
we do.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
More of a comment. I just wanted to get on the record that I see you guys everywhere. And I appreciate how committed you are to that department, all of you, and the minimal budgets it takes because of your time, the time you're putting into these. And so that's
Well said.
Thank you. And I want to highlight, the goal of the programming that we're doing is not the same programming that the rec department or the library does. We have to be able to do it with a very small budget and a very small staff. We don't have volunteers that can staff those events. And that's actually been something that's been successful to us to a point where I wrote in here, one of the things that we do plan on doing is packaging that up so we can teach other communities how to be able to have economic development initiatives without a volunteer base that can staff those events with a very small staff and a very small budget. Because a lot of communities like Peterborough have a lot of stuff going on. There just needs to be a little strategy to how you capitalize on that.
I should say at the last EDA meeting, there was a lot of discussion about perhaps producing a brochure that talks about the various businesses in town and a variety of other strategies in order to help people understand what's available in Peterborough. I think that's going to be something that will be some expense for them.
We'll figure that out, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there were several questions. I'm sorry, did you have a question there?
On your comment about the lack of volunteers and the small staff, how many people serve as volunteer members of the EDA?
Currently 7, 8, 9. We have 2 alternates right now. Many alternates? So maybe just 7 currently.
I mean, is there a way to encourage them or do some outreach through them to get some volunteers with some staffing of the events?
During COVID, we found that a lot of their work had dropped off, and so Tricia has been working really diligently to kind of get them kick-started again and moving in the right direction. And it's been great to have these events these past year that we were able to put on because I think that they kind of felt reignited a little bit with the work that could be done. And I think you were saying at the last meeting that they were really excited about doing these again and maybe even adding to them. So we're looking to strengthen them, but at the same time, with all of the work that's been going on with Blue Fringe Properties and Ed Kania's group with these community conversations, we've seen a lot of the downtown businesses especially be really invigorated with wanting to be a part of the greater community. So we're hoping that we can grab a few of them for the EDA, but also their subcommittees for the South Peterborough TIF or the Greater Downtown TIF. A lot of them didn't realize that we had those groups, so we didn't realize how little of a commitment it was, but okay, maybe I'll show up to the meeting. And so we had a Greater Downtown TIF meeting 3 weeks ago, something about like that, and we had 2 rows filled of downtown businesses, which was really exciting to have that type of participation.
We had 2 new members on the EDA just recently,
Yeah, we've had some turnover.
so they're getting revitalized. There were several members on the committee that have been on the committee forever. And
Yeah.
they're trying to revitalize the process. And it's getting there because there's a revitalization of interest by the business community in downtown to participate.
Yes.
So we'll keep the pressure on.
I know there's some good questions and some good answers from some emails today that Nicole forwarded to us. I don't know if Bonnie or if Danica, you want to like,
I'm good. I
for
didn't
the record,
really.
do we need to put anything in the record at all, or
I'm good.
have them all answered?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really didn't understand that event.
No, makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I think one of the previous questions that had come up was, how is staff development for the planning and building department formed, for instance? And I'd clarified that that actually includes the ability for all of the zoning board members and planning board members to attend trainings, which is really important to make sure that they stay, especially the zoning board, to stay up to date on legal changes to our land use laws in the state. But I'm happy to go through any of these line items to talk through them in greater detail.
People have questions? Go ahead, Mayor.
I can also move on to revenue too if there's questions on that.
It's pertaining to development, not necessarily to a line item and not specific to EDA. The property where the IDG building was demolished, and I know you were instrumental in getting that grant and working through that. Is there any news about
Yes.
how that's progressing?
Last year, the Affordable Housing Committee undertook a project called Envision Town Student Challenge for Affordable Architecture.
Right.
That property was one of those properties. We did present the rendering back to the property owners. They're in California, so they weren't able to attend the physical event. They were very, very excited about it. They actually offered the architectural student who did the renderings a position with their company. Weren't able to connect them, which was really a bummer. But we're very, very invigorated by the opportunity to see something come to fruition in their space. Over the past 6 months, we've had probably 5 or 6 conversations back and forth about what could be small shifts to their plan. They're still kind of figuring out some renderings of what their dream vision is, but something is moving forward, just nothing at the planning board level yet.
And what is it? I don't remember that specific student.
The student had initially created a mixed-use space, somewhat like a campus design. It had some, I want to say it had a artist's retail space, a gallery, a community garden, an amphitheater, and housing units. And the housing units were mixed income. I want to say that there was townhouse style and then affordable housing units above the gallery. They've toyed with changing smaller features of the plan, like bringing in like a cafe. At one time that went away, was brought back. They've also reached out to a handful of other stakeholders in the community to see if there'd be any interest in partnership. But they've been active in communication, so I'm feeling positive that they're moving
It's
forward.
such a keystone property, especially with the new fire station
Yeah,
coming up on the other corner, to have something going on
yeah.
there.
Yeah, just to add to what Danica said, building on it, the student really came to appreciate how important, how important the arts are to Peterborough. So that really was kind of set her vision for then how she created the plan for the space. And in addition to all the things that Danica brought up, there was also the opportunity to have apartments that had studios, so that part of the idea was affordable housing, little cottages. Part of the idea was also to potentially have residence artists. So it was a very creative concept. So, and we were thrilled to hear that the landowners appreciated that vision.
Yeah.
Then we'll see how it gets tweaked and whatnot, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely moving forward, just not as fast as I think we probably all hope.
It's been sitting there for decades, so this is quick action.
At least the motel's gone.
Danica, have you, can you give us a little feeling for the trend of housing starts or potential housing starts, both private homes and/or, of course,
New construction.
multiple units, yes, new construction?
We are seeing a decline in both planning board applications, but also building permits. It's been slow, but it's been very quiet for planning board and zoning board over the past 6 months. And we've reflected that appropriately, we believe, in the revenue line. Normally, in any normal year, it's kind of like looking in a crystal ball anyways. But usually Tim and I, the building inspector, have inklings. We've had some meetings with people in the office. We've heard rumors of things that are coming down the pike, and right now we're really not hearing a ton of stuff. So we were very conservative on what we're projecting with revenue. There's certainly one-off subdivisions that we always see normally here and there. We actually just had one that came in this past week, but that one subdivision will allow for one other single-family home to build. So not a huge jump in housing stock, certainly.
And one more question. The work on the Wells School, I think it is, on Old Hancock Road, is that stalled, or is it going to continue, and will that affect our eventually future?
It is the Walden Eco Village project,
Yes.
I'm assuming, yeah. It is still moving forward. The property owner has been chipping away at some of the site work. They, at this time, have finished installing all their stormwater, which was things like a stormwater treatment system, a detention pond. I believe they're now moving on to doing some of the site improvements, like adding lighting to the parking lot and filling out the parking lot. And then once that's done, I believe that they're going to be moving on to renovating the existing structures that are staying. So it's been a slow process, but they are moving through it. If those buildings come online, it'll give us 17 units.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no occupancy as yet.
Correct, for any of them.
Right.
But it has been approved to go forward, as I
Correct.
understood it.
Yep.
But I wasn't sure of the status.
Yep, still working through this initial site work for it.
I think that's it. Thanks, Danica.
Yeah, thank you.
Took the good work. Who should go next? Nicole or Lily? Lily.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Lily.
Hi. Lily Gilligan, Finance Director. Two of my staff members have been diligently watching from home and wanting to be more of a active participant in understanding the process of budgeting. This is Amanda Davey, who does all of our payroll and benefits. And this is Tanya Rose, who does all of our accounting functions and research for me. The other two members of the finance team are the tax collector and deputy tax collector, who could not be here this evening. The effort that I'm making and their interest and level of being here is that in any good process, there's so much to learn to be in charge of a mid-sized town in terms of finances, that this is a great opportunity to train up from the ground. And there's an incredible amount of detail that goes into all of this. It's not just the weekly chunk through all of what we do to keep the lights on here at Peterborough. So that being said, I'd like to mention a couple things. The finance department supports all town departments. The tax collector and her deputy send out 13,535 bills for taxes and utilities every year, collecting currently $29 million in taxes, $3.2 million in water sewer fees, and they're also processing approximately $6 million in non-tax revenue. In FY25, we paid out $39.5 million. So the budget that you look at it isn't even half of what we process in the office in terms of cash. So of that $39.5 million, 17.78 was paid to the school and county in the taxes that we collect on their behalf. 14.1 million was paid out for general fund expenditures, 2.7 million for water sewer expenditures, and the other $5 million is all the project work that we pay for in this office, and the projects range from Danica's EECBG grants to the fire station project, to the Cold Stone Springs project, which Cold Stone Springs, and we finalized the Main Street Bridge project this year with the DOT, which was, thank goodness, a long time coming. That was the hardest, $111,000 that I ever asked for. But Cold Stone Springs, we spent more on that project last year than we did on water sewer altogether this past year. And all of that work, not only is all of those construction bills very carefully processed through, but then we have to turn around and ask for all that money to be reimbursed by the DES. We have 2 grants and 1 loan from the DES for Cold Stone Springs. We still have about $600,000 left available. Most of it is grant money for finalizing anything else that's needed for that facility. So we started billing Jaffrey a month ago for the Cold Stone Springs started pumping in October. And Jaffrey, I'm happy to say, has already paid their first bill. And I just processed out the January bill to them today. So that it will be a new forever, something that is handled through this office. We have a separate budget within the water department for just that facility. That includes any hours that are worked by our employees down there as well.
We fully handle the administration of that. The town of Peterborough handles the
Yes, that is
administration of that
our facility, yes.
And we bill Jaffrey for the time.
Correct.
And what happens to that 600K eventually? If we don't use it, does that go to?
If we don't use it, it will expire. We got a new approval from Governor and Council a couple weeks ago to extend the ability to spend those monies.
And we still have things that we have to do
So you
out there that are
anticipate-
part of the project. We're not quite done yet. We're very close, though.
But you anticipate pretty much using that money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's grant money.
Find a way.
Exactly.
Right.
So the other item that, after we spend the money, I have to turn around and process reimbursement requests is anything that we have funded that is held by trustees of the trust. We are seeking approximately $2 million every year in reimbursements from the trustees of the trust from the individual capital reserve and expendable trusts. So just to give you a flavor of how those types of things occur. We are in the office processing approximately 5,000 invoices a year, which is approximately 100 every week. That is handled completely by Tanya. In FY25, we employed 222 employees for 73 full-time positions, 80 part-time year-round positions, and 70 seasonal positions. 57% of our budget is driven by salary and benefits for our employees that are carrying out all the work that's done in the town. It should be noted that 12% of our full-time staff turns over every year. So that is, in the last 3 years, we have lost 9 people and filled those positions. The budgeting that is done for all of our employees is based off of who is currently employed right now and what their benefit choices are, with consideration for anything that is known, such as somebody that is going to be getting married in a few months and going from a single health insurance plan to a 2-person. I do ask those uncomfortable questions of all department heads so that there is some sort of a heads up. And ability to budget for changes if there's going to be either marriages or new families. But what you can't budget for is those 9 people that didn't tell us they were going to be leaving our employ next year, because as you recall your shock and awe at seeing the budgeted cost for vacation and sick buyouts for the 3 known retirements for next year. In the 5 years prior, those have not been budgeted. And that means that other areas of the budget have to absorb the cost of paying out the vacation and sick buyout payouts, because those are owed. And then not only is that in effect, but then we also have to fill that position. Often it takes more than a month. In my office, it was 3.5 months before I had somebody to help me with accounting, and 7.5 months doing the payroll and benefits without that person. It is incredibly hard when people leave without giving notice, because all of our positions are very unique in the town. You're either a certified police officer, you're a paramedic, you have skills that most people don't go to college for. I guess what I'm trying to say is, because we are budgeting for the insurance of the and salaries for the people that are on staff right now, those are not fixed costs. Employees, because of that change, is that moving target. Sometimes the health insurance line is overspent by $100,000. Sometimes it's underspent by $100,000, based off of where those things come from. We also, I just wanted to let you know, we process 150 background checks a year. 100 of those are for our volunteers. We do 3 levels of background checks on every single person that comes in contact as a volunteer. So it's a local, federal, and state background check.
Including the budget committee volunteers?
No, just
No.
people who have,
We did check on you though, Rick.
just those volunteers that have unsupervised interactions with children or the elderly or other persons.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yep. So the other highlights of what we've done recently, larger projects in the finance department, was the water sewer rate study that we worked really in depth with Nicole. I completed a health insurance RFP to no avail. We will be staying with School Care. They are our best option for not only the health insurance product, but also the pricing. Unfortunately, the timing and current marketplace for insurance nationwide is also a reason why we didn't get as many responses as we had hoped for. Health Trust was unwilling to give us a price until April. School Care required us to sign a contract by February 1st. The Health Trust product is less desirable and already more expensive this year than we're paying with School Care. So we did get an offer from the insurance plan that is offered through the Teamsters, but their product is a similar premium price, but far less of a product overall to our employees. So not as good. The private insurance companies could not pull it together, and they are still pursuing it because I told them I'd like to see what the offering would be in order to pursue next year.
Great.
So the and the last thing, Beth, I'd like to say, gave an incredible effort in assisting the assessing department this past year in pulling together and correcting the property files so that we could issue accurate tax billing. That was an incredible effort on her behalf that took at least 5 weeks. So. So my budget in general is just for the finance and tax collection. Half of the tax budget for salaries and items is budgeted a quarter in water and a quarter in sewer to reflect their efforts for collecting there. but I also oversee the insurance budgets for all employees. And it should be noted that this is not the entire insurance budget at $1.2 million. It is also budgeted within the ambulance department, within the water department, sewer department, and 25% of one employee's insurance benefit is in recreation revolving. So the debt service is also in my budget. You can see that debt service is down almost $56,000. In the next 2 years, you will see a reduction of $350,000 in debt service for general fund budgeting, as well as 2 bonds come off. It is the first fire station bond. That was only a 5-year note, and the townhouse bond comes off in 2 years.
Lily, the bond principal last year and this current year, is that same numbers, is that correct?
Yes. It's the interest that decreases every year.
Right. Oh, so the bond principal just steady.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Lily, when did you say the planning bond for the fire station comes off?
The initial, the 1.3 million? Next year is the last year that we're budgeting for that. The debt schedule. FY '28 is the last payment for fire station. So it's this year and next year, and then it's gone. Okay? And then in FY '30 will be the first year that we don't have townhouse renovation.
And then collectively, how much was that in aggregate of those 2 bonds?
$350,000.
Thank you.
So I'm happy to answer any questions. As you guys know already, I budget for all department salaries, benefits, commodities, which include heating, gas, diesel, electricity, and I've been tracking those, and they're increasing. Gas and diesel, we just got bills today that were increases that are, the numbers that I used from late October, they've increased 3 times over. Not 3 times, but the last 3 bills have increase. I worked with David last week. He came in asking questions about the impact of the vote for the community power, and we did a deep dive on the impact of every penny to whether it's community power increasing by a penny or Eversource delivery costs by a penny. Every penny will impact the overall budget by $11,000. That includes the wastewater treatment plant.
For the accumulating unspent benefits like vacations, would it be beneficial and possible to create a kind of reserve that would buffer against the sudden shock of somebody, leaving or?
Those are options for doing. We are audited annually, and part of the annual audit is to identify what our liability is if everybody walked out the door on July 1st. So those figures are calculated annually and known, and could certainly be a consideration to doing that. Because a lot of people are very private about their plans for retiring and not wanting to be out in the open with, giving a 9-month notice. I mean, this budget doesn't start getting spent until July 1, but doesn't end for another year and a half from now. So that's a long time out for a lot of people's planning purposes.
So if we had a reserve, that could act as a buffer against these unexpected retirements or leaves?
I believe that capital or an expendable trust.
Can't be a capital reserve.
It's an expendable
trust. I would want to say, though, that this is an unusual circumstance where we have 2 long-term employees at a very high salary, well, really three, the two at a very high salary, both with extremely large pension contributions because of their positions, retiring at the same time in the same year. This doesn't happen all the time. 99.9% of the time when someone retires, it's not a problem. Their payouts are easy to absorb within the budgets. So this is a really unusual circumstance. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to having some kind of an expendable trust fund set up for unusual HR-related circumstances, as for instance, you know,
Health insurance.
our experience with health insurance. And if it could possibly be worded to allow the use for a circumstance like this, that certainly would be great. But
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, because we are, and thank you for all the work you did to try to really poke all around the corners of what we can do with insurance. We have the best that you were able to find, and thank you for doing, continuing to see what the private insurers can do in the future. But we do know that we are self-insured. And so, with this plan, and so I do think there could be some value in creating an expendable fund that could buffer us, both either for that or for other unanticipated expensive retirements or whatever. And I do know that after the school care issue cropped up, that other entities did decide, that prompted them to decide to create an expendable trust fund. So I know others have chosen to take that path. I think it's prudent.
certainly other,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, certainly other entities have done that. Conval's had one for decades. It's a responsible thing to consider. So how much you would you want to fund that this year? Would you want to, these are a really good conversation for us to have,
Yeah.
whether it's this week or next
Establishing
week.
it, and not necessarily funding it, but maybe we should think about establishing that, and then at some point funding it when we need to.
Well, you want to be able to fund it before you need it. So if you're going to establish it, you may as well at least put a couple of bucks in there.
Something in.
Right, well, we did that with, I think, the building fund last year.
Correct.
We just created it, and then a
We
year later,
created
we
it.
put some money in.
Yeah, we put a few $1,000s in that, and that's, essentially to at least get the seed there.
Get the seed, and then presumably in that, when it's in that fund, we are getting some income? Is that true?
Small amount, yes.
Small
Small
amount.
amount,
Interest?
yeah.
I wouldn't,
It's not
It's-
much,
yeah.
not enough.
it's negligible.
It's
Okay.
the purpose.
And
of
expendable
it.
trusts incur fees.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's really what we put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would be open to suggestions myself with how much. I think it would be really a very responsible thing to do.
To come from our fund balance?
We would have to. I mean, unless someone has other thoughts. That's my understanding.
Mary?
Bonnie, I wanted to follow up. You said you are aware of other entities. Nicole mentioned Conval. Do we have comparative data from entities of a similar size who have done this and how they've proceeded? What has worked, maybe what has not?
Yeah, what I was referring to is, well, the Conval has had it for a while.
A very long time.
Yeah, a long time. What is new is Misc, that got hit really hard. I think they got over $500,000 hit from the school care, same school care issue, or maybe more. And they put in $25,000 as a seed, just to start building so that if such a thing were to happen again. But I don't know if you can comment on Conval's experience.
I just know that, just from my experience with the trustee, the trust fund, Conval's had that fund for a very long time. That's one of the places where, and Lily can speak to this better than I can, but at the end of each year, unlike towns that can hold an unreserved fund balance, schools can't, and so they would put money into these reserve funds, and they would regularly break up that money into their health insurance, their special education, and a couple of other funds. So that's how they've been funding it for many, many years. And then they use that money either to offset their regular bills or surprise increases. We had experience back, I want to say 2008, 9, 10, 11, where we were seeing double-digit increases to health insurance costs year over year over year over year. And so they were able to draw on that. The town, was really just in the position of just raising more out of the, out of taxation to cover those costs.
What I could do to determine what would be an appropriate amount of money is just use the data from our last audit, look at the people that are, 20-year employees or longer, and what might be anticipated in any given year, to pay for that. The impact to our budget and the request for an emergency expenditure for the surprise school care bill was $217,000.
And probably, and that was equivalent to 1.5 months premium.
Exactly.
So that's an easy number for us to come up with. Yeah.
I think that was my point, is what data do we have to inform some seed money and how it should go forward?
Excellent, thank you.
Lee? Hi. You mentioned that all of the insurance was not covered in your presentation, that there's some other departments that put insurance in, health insurance. Do you have a sense of the order of magnitude of what you cover versus what's is in the other departments without me looking it up?
Yes. The total budgeted health insurance is $1,558,232. Dental, $83,993, and then the medical buyout is $85,901. People that are not taking the health insurance at all and are qualifying for a small percentage buyout for not taking the insurance, to encourage them to not take the insurance.
Do you
We have
also-
9 employees that do that.
Does liability insurance for the town come under your
Yes.
budget?
Mhm. Liability insurance
It is
for
here,
property is sprinkled throughout the budget as well, but it is a known number and is budgeted for exactly what we will be billed for in July. For property liability, the workers' comp is exactly what we will bill for in July. Unemployment is a very small bill, it's less than $5,000 a year. That's a calendar year bill, so I already know what half of it will be because we already paid it, and I put a small increaser to assume a few percent increase. But most of the budgeted items that are in my budget are budgeted at exactly what you're going to spend. The debt, the property liability insurance, the workers' comp insurance, that sort of thing. The reason that they're sprinkling is that the water, sewer are enterprise funds and are fee supported. Not everybody's on water sewer, so those facilities and employees should be paying for those products out of the enterprise funds. But then the fire and ambulance departments, because there is such heavy amount of cost that should be borne by all of the communities that are benefiting from that product, that I budget within those budgets for those services as well.
Another quick question.
Yes, sir.
We heard this presentation about the tunnel that's under the town. I would assume that there's no expenses going to be relating to that this year, this next year, but it could be. And it's not a question for you necessarily. Is there any provision for that potential expense coming up?
No.
If it is our expense at all?
There's a lot we have yet to
Yes,
figure out
right,
about that.
right.
So we're not even close to any of that, answering any of that question yet.
I have not budgeted for that. I only heard about it last week for the first
I
time.
meant, it really wasn't a question, it really wasn't a question. The question is, should we?
You're good, but you're not that good.
Have to have a magic ball, crystal ball there.
Just going back to talking about maybe setting up a new fund for these unanticipated expenses and maybe funding that through fund balance. I mean, where are we at with fund balance right now? We've done quite a few things already.
We're anticipating a lot out of fund balance, so I think,
I mean, we've already done a lot, I know.
yeah,
Where are we at right now?
I believe right now our fund balance is $1.8 million.
with all the things that we're planning to take out of it, though.
Not with
Not
that,
with
and not knowing what we're going to put into it
Into it.
at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So we have $1.8 million available. I standardly recommend that we have at least $700,000 in fund balance to cover what is not collected in any given year for taxes, that those people that are paying those taxes late, which ends up actually making us more money because we collect over $100,000 in interest charge for late payments of taxes. That is a non-tax revenue. So.
I know, but we already made commitments for the unanticipated insurance expense and also the assessing difference. We put fund balance towards that as well, correct? And that was 300,000, I can't remember the number.
Say it again?
The money that we have committed to cover the assessment. After we set tax rate for the year, we found out that there were some errors and we decided to take fund balance.
1.8 million has already accounted for all of those transactions.
Oh, okay.
That is exactly how much you have available for any capital reserve decisions, and it will be adjusted again at the end of the year when it's determined how much we have not spent from the FY26 expenditure budget and how much money we've over-collected in non-tax revenues.
Thank you. And I just had a quick question about, I know we've talked pretty extensively about the fire and police retirements. So your vacation buyout number on your line is just basically anticipating anyone else?
That is not a vacation buyout. That is people that are selling their vacation time because they don't take all their vacation time. In the personnel manual, there's a provision where you can sell back time and be paid for that. It does not count towards New Hampshire retirement, so there's no impact there for New Hampshire retirement. That other line is also the medical buyout, so there's about half of that is, and then the other half and half is medical buyouts and people. There's 7 people that currently are selling their vacation time. But there's also 42 people that bought a week's vacation, and they pay us every week how much it would cost to buy 20 hours or 40 hours, but everybody is up for raises on October 1st, but what the calculation is what they were making on 7/1. So there is a small amount of money that is, if somebody gets 60-cent increase and they don't take their vacation until after October, then that is also hitting that line as well.
Would you increase that almost 50% this year from 60,000 to 93,000, those buyouts? Is that?
Because of who is on medical buyouts right now. Yep, we have 2 new employees that are qualifying for medical buyouts that were not employees last year.
Significant savings at the end of the day, so those folks are not taking health insurance or dental insurance from us.
Other questions?
Yeah, so do we have a general sense that we'd like to establish this, and should we put together a warrant article this year for that?
Anyone want to comment on that proposal? Okay, and pretty positive about it, correct? Anyone else have any?
I would just like to see it be data-driven in terms of what the initial
Yeah,
is.
I can bring that to our next meeting.
Yeah, we'll have a recommendation if that's what you'd like to see.
that'd be great.
I would think the auditors could contribute to that discussion.
I actually give it to the auditors. They just put the number on their audit. So I would be happy to get that for you for next week.
guess, I'm sorry.
Revenues. Ha.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You were supposed to remind me.
I know, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Lily, before you get to that, could
You look tired, so
could you just explain the general government tax collection, tax overlay that disappeared this year? What is that? And
The overlay is set when we set tax rate, and that is based, overlay is another word for abatements, and that's the amount of money that we anticipate spending in abating people's taxes. Standardly, that number is already known pretty close because they've already started putting in applications in the fall, and some of it has already been refunded to the taxpayer. So when we set tax rate, that cost is then added to the amount to collect in our raise and appropriate.
And why is it zero this year?
Doesn't need to be
Because
budgeted.
it's not budgeted until we set tax rate in November.
Thank you.
One of the things that Lily cleaned up when she came into work here. It's not something that ever needed to be budgeted, but prior finance directors had always done that.
you want to mention revenue?
Thank you, sir. So, the other directors, with the exception of Danica, who did a lovely job at mentioning that there are revenues in her budget, everybody else failed to mention revenue, so I just wanted to let you know that there is almost $6 million in non-tax revenue for the general fund in each of our different areas. Some of the heavy hitters are meals and rooms tax, expected to be $665,000. Highway block grant, a little over $200,000. The town of Sharon pays the town of Peterborough for police services, recycling center, fire, and ambulance, in addition to the other towns that contribute towards our 911 ambulance services. Ambulance fees for, from health insurance companies and whatever the health insurance company does not cover, are part of our budget. It's $775,000 is anticipated to be paid in those ambulance calls. The transfers, we're expecting approximately $45,000 to come in transfers alone. It's far less than what it used to be, but there is a little bit there. The TIFs, specifically West Pete, contributes about $160,000 for us to continue to maintain all of the project work that was done in West Pete TIF. And that amount of money will continue to be available and in a spend down over the next 12 to 15 years, depending on what those costs are. The town clerk raises lots of money for us, it's $1,389,000 in motor vehicle registration alone. There are several properties that do not pay taxes, but they're charged a payment in lieu of taxes. It's about $160,000 that is collected there. And those bills go out every December and are due within a month. They're due by December 31st. Interest on late payments, I had mentioned already, is $100,000 that we collect
Late payment of
in late
taxes.
payments of taxes. So the building permits, Danica had recommended that we push that down to $40,000 for tax rate setting of revenues this year and for budgeting for next year until there's a better understanding of what's going on. But in FY25, they collected $93,611 in building permits. So that is a decent chunk of change that could be there. The school pays us for our SRO. We bill them and they pay us twice a year. I'm expecting to charge Conval almost $110,000 next year for their
The security officer.
police officer.
Right.
I think that's pretty much the highlights. Cunningham Pond stickers is up $26,000 he's expecting next year.
So the meals and rooms tax and the highway block grants, is that collected at the state level and then they give us back?
Highway block is paid quarterly, and meals and rooms, they pay on December 31st every year. It's fun to be a calendar year town and get that at the last possible second, but for us, it's...
And with all the state machinations, we're pretty confident that those numbers should come through.
Yes, that was they were very specific in how that would be calculated in that bill that was passed last year.
Yeah,
That was a 2-year agreement.
It's a 2-year budget, yeah, so we're not expecting any changes.
Good news.
But I'm happy to answer any questions about revenue that you might have.
You've answered all mine. Any other questions?
All set, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lily.
You're very welcome.
Kudos to you and your staff. You're
Oh, yeah, no, we're
amazing.
gonna be done.
Thank you.
We'll give you a couple minutes.
So my budget is relatively straightforward. Administration, we basically bring all the things together that we've been talking about so far. Justine and I are essentially professional generalists, and we tend to pick up all the odd duties and odd tasks that don't get picked up elsewhere. So that's the short of what we do. And then, of course, Gretchen oversees the assessing department.
And her
So-
numbers showed up this year, they were somewhere else before, and now all of a sudden her numbers are showing up?
Correct, yeah. So I just, before I get to assessing, just talk a little bit. Our staff development is up $3,000 to support the select board's goal of additional training for the town administrator, being myself. Human services operations, that is welfare. We've increased the operations staff development line a little bit to support Justine's training. She's relatively new to the position, but has picked it up very quickly and is just taking every opportunity to get additional training when it's available. Assessing side, salary is up because salary line in assessing didn't exist before. It was rolled into the previous administration budgets. We've broken that out. We've made a few changes and we've discussed this a little bit already, but we've made a few changes in how we're running the assessing department. In the past, it was mostly driven by our contracted assessor. We had some support in-house, which worked out to be about 10 to 20 hours a week of administrative staff support. In the last year, last year and a half, we've gone through a tremendous change, not only in our in-house staff. The company that was providing us assessing services folded, which required us to go out and try to find another contractor, which took way longer than it unfortunately we had hoped it would. Once we were able to convince an assessor to take our contract, it became clear very, very quickly they were not interested in providing the comprehensive service that we had been receiving in the past. But fortunately, Gretchen, who had been Public Works Business Manager, stepped up, said, I'd really like to take on the assessing work. It's incredible how much she has learned just in the last year. She has gotten herself licensed as a measurer and lister, which is the vast majority of the work that needs to be done on a regular day-to-day basis. By doing that, by her doing that, taking those proactive steps, we were able to reduce the assessing contracted services line dramatically. Not just because we took the revaluation out, that work's been done, but also just able to take out the annual costs and reduce that down to what you see here, which is $73,000. And we took the salaries that had been in other parts of the budget. We had salaries in Public Works Administration, salary line, some of Gretchen's salary was in water and some of it was in wastewater. We brought that all together, moved it into the assessing line. So you'll see, as we've discussed previously, when we were looking at assess budgets, we took the salaries out of there, moved it into here. All in all, significant cost savings to the town across the board. So, and a dramatic increase in the level of service that she's able to provide. So we have someone in that office all day, every day that we're open, and she's doing really great work for the community. So, let's see if there's anything else. Also increased staff development there to support her ongoing training. She just finished up another round of coursework and will be testing very soon. So hopefully, as she progresses, we're going to need that contracted assessor less and less. Those are the highlights. There's really not much to say on the revenue side. Most of the assessing, or the administration department's revenues are miscellaneous, kind of incidental to work. Occasionally we get a grant, we'll drop it in there. If we have a large request, right to know request for copies, that will go in there, but for the most part, it's pretty minimal. Anything else? Any questions?
Mary?
Can we, Nicole, go back to the expenditure line for computer services? Can you remind us about the fluctuations there?
170,000 last year?
No, computer services?
In
Oh,
assessing?
sorry.
Yes, under assessment.
Under assessing. So we had a change in computer services. That is reflective of the change in the database that we're using. We transferred our database. We now just have the regular ongoing license, maintenance and license agreement.
Nicole, could you give us some more specifics on what direct relief is? Where does that money go?
Yep, that's human services, that's welfare. So if a person is poor and in need of assistance, a direct quote from the state law, they may go to the town and be granted relief. So 80% of it goes to rent. The rest of it mostly goes to electricity, but sometimes some other miscellaneous costs. These are typically people who are experiencing changes in job circumstances, may have gotten laid off, sometimes significant health issues and so on. So, or, a family splitting up. Those are the main reasons why.
And what's
people
public
come in.
assistance then?
That's that.
What's public
Public assistance, I'm sorry, public assistance is support that the town provides to social service agencies that otherwise the town would be required to provide. So, for instance, some public support goes to the River Center.
And that comes out of the public assistance number or
Comes out
the
of the
direct relief number?
It comes out of public assistance. So anything going to social services comes out of public assistance. Anything going to provide relief for direct bills, like rent or whatever, it comes out of direct.
For residents. Thank you.
But just to add, thank you, Nicole, it's a very, the application is quite extensive. And I know that both Justine and Nicole spend lots of hours reviewing eligibility.
Yes.
So it's I think that the expenses are, seem reasonable for what we've experienced historically, and it is very carefully monitored and checked for eligibility.
Yes, absolutely. We take both sides of our responsibility there very seriously. Responsibility to provide the assistance where it's warranted, but also our fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers for providing that money.
Yeah, and I want to give a call out to Justine on this, because one of my concerns as an executive of this town was that Nicole was doing too much of it herself. And so I really want to thank Justine for stepping up and learning how to do that and taking it, and it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Hear, hear. Other questions or comments?
Where do our contributions to charitable organizations show up in the budget?
That's the public assistance
It's part of the
line? Yep.
public assistance.
Yep, that's the public assistance line. So HCS, Home Health Care and Community Hospice, for instance, they're one of the largest donations that we make. They provide nursing services, hospice services, obviously, and other home health aid services.
We scrutinize those at a meeting. But,
Yep.
It's an extra. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Good job.
Justine again. So I think we're done with reviewing the departments today. I think we just have to maybe go over some minutes and approve some minutes from last meeting. Anybody have any comments about the minutes?
I have a comment.
Tony?
Okay, in the town clerk portion of it, just for clarification, if you want
accuracy, it's not a replacement of a voting machine. It's a replacement of the ballot counting machine, of which we only have one.
That's so noted, Justine.
Yep, that's important.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns? So I just want to make a motion to approve the town, the select board minutes and the budget minutes from last time around.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Paul, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. So what do we do the next week before we say goodbye tonight?
Can we pass the minutes for signature?
Oh, yeah, you want this as well?
So next week is an overview. Lily will be providing the updated version of the budget, so we've been working off the original draft. We made a few changes, electricity got adjusted and so forth. So we'll have a new version of the budget for you to review before we go into the public hearing portion of our agenda. We'll also we'll look at some draft warrant articles, what we talked about tonight. You'll be making a decision on how you'd like to, if you'd like to fund that a new expendable trust, if so what, how much you'd like to fund it. I have a couple of recommendations that I'm going to make as far as funding for projects and expendable trust funds, capital reserve funds. So that'll be our work at the next meeting.
Very good. Look forward to it.
And also just, would say that if you have any final thoughts or questions, it's a great time to bring them up before we go into the public hearing. Yeah.
And I would appreciate any feedback that, because there was quite a bit of discussion about what should we be budgeting for per kilowatt for CPP, so that I could plug that number in and come up with a new electricity budget for all of those different accounts.
I thought we decided on that.
So you've already taken a vote on 6 months.
That is not the rate we're paying next year, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about next year?
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah, new rates will be assessed when in August,
No, yeah.
so we don't know.
We won't know.
So if you,
That's our job.
if anyone, I'll take suggestions. Would you like us to look at a crystal ball, tarot cards?
Dartboard.
Dartboard, we could
Tea
try
leaves.
throwing runes. Tea leaves, that's a good one.
I mean, one thing that could be done is we could ask the Community Power Committee.
Committee, I was thinking the same thing. We
Yeah.
should have the committee give us a recommendation.
Yeah.
Just a point, is in your discussion, if we budget 14 cents, like we might do, because that's what you're paying right now, then when it comes to July 1st and you have to choose it again, and you have the same discussion, and it's 17 cents or 14 cents, then you're talking about a $33,000 bump in expenses that's not budgeted. So I would recommend that it be recommended to the administration to look at a higher number rather than a lower number, so that we're budgeted so that you can make a decision about how you want to do it. I'd also point out that 2 weekends ago, the electricity that was generated in New England was 40% from fuel oil, 45% from natural gas, and less than a couple percent from solar and wind. So unless you buy, unless you directly buy renewable energy, in the idea of your head coming from somewhere a long ways away, when you're talking about electricity here in the wintertime and also in August, for the foreseeable future, it's going to be mostly fossil fuels. And I don't think people realize it, that, when the natural gas crunch comes, because our natural gas supplies are so limited, that most of the natural gas goes to heat homes in the Boston area, and that means electricity has to come from fuel oil. And the plants that can do natural gas or fuel oil all turn to fuel oil. And that makes our electricity cost more again. So, but like I said, I had talked to Lily with the idea that perhaps we budget for a little higher number, And then when you have the discussion the next time, you have a choice to make, because you're not looking at a negative impact on the budget.
Thank you, David. Yeah, and I think if we can also consider what the committee might think might happen.
Yeah, one strategy would be to take the clean 100 number, which is the highest category, and use that number, so then we would have some leverage on the lower tiers.
It could be a lot.
It's 18
It
point.
could be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my, I don't know, I'd like to hear maybe what your committee.
Oh,
might-
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
We
then
should
the
get
other
Bruce
thing,
involved.
yeah, and then the other thing, just to comment, and thank you, David, for your thoughts on this, this just reinforces for me the value of being able, for the town to be able to put on more renewable projects, because this is behind the meter. So it really is going to save us a lot of money and bring in more renewables in a much more real and tangible way. As much as we can do.
I could also mention, CIP had recommended that we establish a committee to look at different buildings, what kind of shape they were in, and either, and maybe spending some dollars to get some outside help, or maybe getting a volunteer committee. So I would appreciate if we get a recommendation from the town next week as well. Your thoughts on?
I do have some
Direction.
thoughts on that, and that's actually one of the things that I wanted to discuss.
So that should be on our agenda next week as well.
Absolutely, it's on the agenda.
Great.
Just to give you a little preview of my thinking, I believe that the investment in the radio system upgrades that would include the fire and ambulance service would outweigh, at least at this time, our ability to make those investments now and save ourselves some money revisiting that upgrade again in the future would be more beneficial to us than putting away some money for a study. So I'd like to maybe make an exchange just this year, rather than putting the money into that building study, to use it for the radio system upgrades. That will be my recommendation.
Does that keep it flat?
Trying to keep it flat. I'm trying to continue to meet that goal, which is getting more and more challenging as we go.
Exactly.
But, I really am trying to keep that flat. If depending on where things go, there's, some other, we'll see what the numbers look like. I'm going to ask Lily to, maybe come up with a couple scenarios for electricity in particular.
Sure. In fact, I've updated everything as it's ongoing, including with the new gas and diesel rates today that came in on the bills. Because there were two areas of the budget that were reduced, that were identified, the diesel in the ambulance budget, and the rentals and leases in general services, and with the offset. And so I've already made adjustments to electricity and heating and that sort of thing, gas, diesel, that have come in. I did the electricity based off of your vote of the 14.58 cents. That was a couple weeks ago. And right now we are still at a flat. But if we're going to increase electricity to 17.5 perhaps, that will impact. But that's also wastewater treatment plant. It's not just general fund, so don't get nervous about that. That number is for all facilities, regardless of it being general fund or enterprise fund. I can certainly, and I've been highlighting the cells where I've made adjustments, so it's easy for us to all, as a group, identify and look at it quickly to be able to grasp all of that.
Yeah.
Dave?
Maybe just one other thing. We talked about the debt service
Yes.
and when it was going to drop off, and that, just as a reminder, in the CIP subcommittee, that subcommittee has been very, what's the word to use, conscious of how the debt service goes and when it would drop off in that. And so capital expenditures forecast out into the future are adjusted and take account for that debt going away. In other words, try to push some capital out to match those. So if we start to take that money for something else, we just have to know that we're going to affect the capital budget planning in the future. Because each year we tend to go over that and go, what's it gonna look like? Okay, well, we can get another year without this truck, and the debt comes off, and so it won't be such an impact. And that is part of the thinking that that little subcommittee goes through pretty extensively with Lily. And I'm not saying we don't do it, just that we're aware that if we take that debt service money and we want to use it for something else, it's going to affect our capital planning again.
So just to clarify, so that I understand what you're saying, David, you've accounted for all of it in the capital budget?
I wouldn't say we've accounted for all of it.
Okay.
But the planning does account for the fact that the debt service will change, you know, and so as you look at trying to flatten the impact of the capital, you are also playing with that as well, yeah.
You're just asking us not to rob Peter to pay Paul.
No, actually, I'm not. What I'm just saying is that just
Keep
we
it in
need to
mind,
all
sure.
be aware that if we rob Peter, you know, we're taking it from Paul.
Right, yeah.
We don't have the ability necessarily.
I understand.
Yeah, just like this 300,000 we talked about, what you're saying is you've accounted for that as you planned over time.
Yes, sort of accounted in,
Yes.
you know, not dollar for dollar, but definitely accounted for it.
Okay, thank you.
In moving things in and out.
Yeah,
And
okay, thank you.
Ooh, and Nicole, the other thing that we were gonna present next week was the budget to actuals.
Oh, yes,
comparison that
that's
I
right,
completed.
yeah, because you had finished that up.
Thank you.
Yep. So we're just going over that, so
Thank
we'll
you.
have that for next week as well.
It's sub-departments, it is not account line by account line. That was, it would be incredibly tedious and really not productive to see a $300 line that went to a $350 line in those comparisons. But
Major and
each
majors.
sub-account really tells a story.
Thank you.
Great. Appreciate you doing that.
Shall I make a motion to do?
Please.
Adjourn?
Someone on second?
Second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Go on, shuffle.
So, let's go.
So, Bob and I